you're back with the Get Out Deck Guy show. I'm Steve Rhode, the old, original, antique Get Out Deck Guy. And as always, is with me the new Get Out Deck Guy, Damon Day. Say hello, Damon.
What's going on, peeps?
Today's episode might just change the way you think about college and about money in general. Now, look, we've all heard the same line for years. Go to college, get a degree, and you'll be set for life. But what if that's not always true anymore? What if the math doesn't add up the way we've been told? This episode is important because Damon and I are going to pull back the curtain on what those college is worth it headlines absolutely don't tell you. The hidden costs, the real return on investment, and why the type of debt you take on can matter more than the degree itself. By the end of this episode, you're going to walk away smarter, armed with real numbers, new perspectives, be able to make better decisions for you and your kids and people you know, and maybe have a few broken assumptions about what higher education really delivers. And the best part? We're not here to tell you don't go to college. No. We're here to help you make the right financial decision for you and your family. Whether that's a 4-year degree, a trade, or something entirely different. So stick around. This episode's going to make you financially smarter than most people on this planet. Damon, this is a topic that we've heard about for years. Now, you and I have talked about we've talked about this for many years, and you actually live this every day with the people who reach out to you at damonday.com, DAMONDAY.com, because you and I have both over the years talked to people that got a 4-year English degree in 6 years and wound up with $150,000 in student loans.
Well, when it comes to college, the older I get, what's the right word for it? The older I get, the more, the word just slipped my mind. What's the word I'm looking for?
Cynical?
No. Well, what's the opposite of cynical?
Hopeless?
Yeah. Let's put it this way. I used to be a lot more optimistic about college, but as I become the older get out of debt guy, and you're right. I have discussions with people on almost a daily basis about here's my situation or my kid's situation, and I'm 30 years old. I've got $200,000 in debt and didn't graduate or did graduate but couldn't find a job, and I get to the point that it's like I'm not saying nobody should ever go to college.
No.
But damn it, figure it out first before you just getting a loan and going to school shouldn't be the default after high school graduation.
Well,
it should be.
What's funny is people walk into this assumption. This is the part that drives me crazy. They walk into this assumption that I need to get my kid from high school to college, and they need to go to college. And maybe at one point, well, certainly at one point, I'm 66 now. So when I was getting ready to go to college, that might have been more relevant than it is today, because college today has turned out to be a business trying to sell you a widget, whether it's a very expensive for-profit school that doesn't really produce, or a very expensive in-state school where people go and get degrees where they're never really going to make their money back. It requires decision making. It requires an analysis of what the options are rather than just assuming.
Well, when you were a kid, college was a privilege to go to college. Like if you could somehow get to college, and then we were fed all this stuff about look what all these great jobs available for these educated, the educated populace among us, right?
Yeah.
And so if you could get to college, that would be great, maybe. But Steve, in your day, you could go, you know what? I really would like to go to college. So after high school, I'm going to go get a semi-part-time job or whatever.
Yeah, pay for it.
And I'm going to pay my way through college because I really want to do it or whatever. And then by the time I came around, many, many years later than you.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, college had gotten to the point where it wasn't as much, it was still a privilege, but it was expected. It was like, well,
Right.
the kids have to go to college because clearly college is the path towards, prosperity. And so when I was coming up, it was just like, it wasn't like it is now where it was just automatically assumed, but it was strived for by almost everybody. And they
Yeah.
had student loans coming out, and it was like, unless there was a reason not to, it became the default. You need to. And then now it's at a point, and I think we're finally tipping back over where people are starting to wake up to be like, wait a minute. Maybe everybody should not go to college, because for every success story we can find of a college graduate getting that great job and making that money, we could probably find 10 people that, if they could do it different, would probably have done it different and not gone to specifically the school they went to, or not gone to college at all.
Well, it's like back in my day. So I started college in 1978. And back then, you just paid for each semester as you went. There
Yeah.
wasn't this. So at the end of the semester, I had no debt. And if I didn't go on, the only thing I had wasted was what had already been paid for. The
Well,
tragedy these days is when people go on the hook for so much money, and now they're in debt for years and years and years for something that they never finish.
Well, not only that, the tragedy is people, that you can't get a part-time job and pay for, you know, th- you can't get a part-time job and pay for a 4-year private school. That's for sure. But my son just graduated high school. He
Yeah.
doesn't know what he wants to do yet. He's 19. He's going to a local community college. He's still living at the house. The college is only 12 miles away. And the cost for that is $350 a month. He can DoorDash, and he does,
Yeah.
and do this other stuff and make enough money to pay for his college for at least the next 2 years. So you don't have to go to a 4-year school right off the bat, or start saying, hey, we got to spend $20,000 a year and we don't have an extra 20 grand a year, so let's borrow it.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that, especially if your kid, or you are the kid listening to this, doesn't know yet what you want to do. Now more than ever, you need to sit down and figure out a plan. As fast as technology is changing, we got AI coming
Oh,
right
yeah.
now. You got to really think about what job you're going for, and will that job even be available when you graduate?
Right. Like all the computer programmers right now. Now, there's a big difference between when I started school and today, because back in 1978, a state college was mostly funded by the state. And so for in-state students, it was a deal to go to. When I first started, the first school that I went to was a community college in Maryland. And that was $50 a semester,
Yeah.
not per
Well,
month. That was for the semester.
I don't know if I've mentioned this on the podcast yet. I may have. I know I've told you, but Uber has a program right now that I've found that, well, it wasn't a secret. It's on their app,
Yeah.
where they will cover. We're out here in Arizona. ASU is the in-state school, but it's a really good school. Great baseball program, good football program. I think it's a really good like engineering school as well.
Yeah.
But it's a well sought after school. I mean, there people come from all different countries come out here to Arizona and go to ASU. But Uber has a program, and they probably have it in other states. I don't know, but I know they have it in Phoenix, where if you drive for Uber, and the requirements aren't even that hard to hit, they will cover your ASU online tuition, not in school, but the online tuition. So you can get an actual degree from ASU by being a
From
freaking Uber driver.
Yeah.
And honestly, that benefit alone, I mean, ASU is like $18,000, out of state's like $30,000 a year. But granted, we're talking about ASU online. I looked it up. It's somewhere around $8,000 to $12,000 a year. It's not like it's our online correspondence and it's
Yeah.
$100 a month. It's some significant money where somebody could be like, I can't afford to go there. Should I get a loan, or should I just drive for Uber? Even if I don't make much money, I get free tuition.
Well, here's where the disconnect happens is that kids coming up through high school are told by their counselors, by their parents, by their peers, whatever, you need to go to college. And so the assumption is you have to go to college. And when people like you and I say, have you actually taken a look at the return on investment? It's like we're talking just total garbage.
Yeah.
Because I mean the high school counselors, trying to help you get into college. And what do the college financial aid offices do? Try to help you get in and sell butts and
Get
seats.
money.
Yeah, because everyone is just trying to push you through this assumption. And then when people wake up years later after grandma and granddad have co-signed for loans, or parents can't afford to help their kids finish, or you got the degree and you can't afford to get a job now, that will pay for the degree. When they wake up then, it's far too late. So I
Yeah.
want to help people to wake up early. Now,
Wait, real quick,
yeah.
before I forget, on that last point, because this is something I did find out just recently, last week, actually, that Uber thing I was talking about.
Yeah.
Look, if you're listening to this, look, if you're driving for Uber or doing any of these gigs, look at the Uber app and see what they're doing something similar in your state, because here's the big thing I just learned. Because the problem is, well, your kid can't drive for Uber if he's only 18. You got to be 21 to drive people. You can do food delivery, but not people. But Uber has a thing, you can share it with your family member. So if I went out and drove and earned
Oh,
the
wow.
requirements for Uber, I can let Evan use the credit. Like Evan,
That's great.
the kid himself doesn't have to be the one driving, although I would encourage you to have him. But for all you parents out there stressing about, oh my gosh, my kid's a junior in high school, he's going to college in 2 years, what are we going to do? We're going to have to get these loans. Download the freaking Uber app. Uber might have something in your state. You might be able to go out, drive Uber at night, get enough qualifications. I don't know how many rides you have to do, but I remember thinking it's not really that big of a deal if you had a year to put the rides in. I think it's like 2,000 lifetime deliveries or rides you have to have, which is impossible if you're trying to do it by next month. But if you start a year or two ahead of time, all of a sudden they might have something in your state where it's like you can go to that big school, at least online, and get those credits initially. That could save you $20,000.
Yeah.
So
Well,
anyway,
that's huge.
yeah. So parents, you might be wanting to drive for Uber if you got a kid in high school and you're not sure, but check the Uber app. I'm guessing Uber has something similar in other states. Not, I just happen to be in Phoenix, so that's why I'm seeing this offer that's in Phoenix.
Here's something ironic I was thinking about earlier. So I have been working for myself or self-employed or working for a company I started since 1994. And I didn't complete my MBA until after that.
Mm-hmm.
And I have absolutely, in my entire life, I have never landed a job or worked a job because of a degree that I had.
Ditto, Steve.
I know. That's what I was thinking, right? Because you went to college and graduated, and you've never used your degree, really.
But, to be fair, neither one of us went out and got jobs either. We started our own thing and have been doing our own thing.
Yeah, but the thing that I really got out of college was reasoning and research and logic and more of great life skills. And I think, you were always a very good student. So,
Well, my son, he came home last week and, he's a freshman, going to the community college out here. And he's extreme. He's like a gifted, like he's extremely smart. Right.
mhm.
And he comes home, I'm talking to him the other day and he goes, I thought college would be harder, Dad. It's like, it's really easy. I was like, yeah. I was like, how much value is he getting out of that? But
Well, you got to start, somewhere, and he's doing all the basic classes and everything.
well, that's the thing. I don't know why, more people don't go the junior college,
I know.
community college route.
I know.
That's a lot cheaper. And it's the same dang credits, right? Like it's when you graduate, you still have your bachelor's degree from the 4-year school that you decide to go to. But especially if your kid doesn't know what they want to do yet.
Yeah.
Like they're just going to party for the first couple of years at that 4-year school anyway. Like the community college can almost be kind of a baby step. They can go local, still live at home, which is huge, save the kid money, save the parents money, right?
Yeah.
not have to have them pay for, out of state tuition and room and board and all that stuff. But, I mean, and again, there's some situations where it makes sense, but honestly, I feel like college, because people go, why should I go to college? I can learn everything online.
Hmm.
The information, correct. You're not going to school anymore for the information. The colleges don't have the secret information that you can't get anywhere else.
Right, right.
You can get that, but I think one advantage to going to college in certain cases, and this is something that really is never talked about, but is the networking aspect of who you're going to meet, the socialization, who you're meeting, and who those people may become someday. Depending on what school you go to, a lot of those people that you're meeting at those parties could be the future leaders of industries.
Right.
And so but this is all very case specific, because there are some kids that their personality is such that they're going to go to school and they're going to go to class and they're going to go home, they're going to do their homework, and they're not really going to do much socialization in college, and they're not really going to network. And then there's other kids that are just different, and they might leave college with 1,000 contacts, people they've met, people they know, and those contacts are going to help them make connections and get business deals and get job interviews and be potentially very successful because of the connections they made in college, not because of the information they learned from their teacher
Well, you
in
mentioned
college.
the community college, junior college. So when I guess my dad started junior college in 1948 or 49. He started a junior college and he wound up being the first PhD graduate at Michigan State in political science. And he always said when he was alive, how much junior college changed his life. Now, in North Carolina here, if you go to the local community college, they have transfer programs to state schools where all of your credits will transfer.
Hmm.
It's a great deal. I mean, we're talking, NC State, UNC, schools with great outcomes. All right,
Yeah.
let go
And
ahead.
well, real quick, and the other thing too, especially if you don't have the funds already set aside, which a lot of families don't, and you go to a junior college for 2 years, your kid can work while they're going to junior college. They can live at home. They can work whatever they want to do. They can get a job while they're taking their credits at junior college, and they can work and they can save money because they're living at home, and put all that money in an account to help, for those next 2 years, to build up a fund as much as possible to help cover the costs at for the 4-year degree, if that's what they decide they want to do. They may finish community college and be like, yeah, this is not really for me.
Right.
I've done the college thing for 2 years, and I got really into cars or whatever when I was there, and I got this buddy or this teacher, blah 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 blah, and I really think I want to be a mechanic or
Right.
whatever. I want to go do this, and so let them figure that out for $350 a month, not $3,500 a month.
Funny thing is that people talk about we need more financial literacy in school so we can teach our kids all about money. And this would be a great topic to apply some financial literacy towards, because this there was an article on our local TV station here in North Carolina on WRAL, and it was talking about the positive 10-year return on in-state graduates going to college.
Yeah.
And you hear that so much about how much it's going to pay off and everything. But it drives me crazy, because the thing that you never hear about, this is where I need to break your assumption. Because the majority of people who start going to college, who take out student loans, the majority of them never graduate. So now you've got the debt and you don't have the benefit. So the difference, as we talked about earlier, was way back in ancient times when I went to college, you paid as you went. And if you dropped out early, you just didn't have the money that you already paid for, right? But you weren't on the hook for the government or a private lender or whatever for tens and tens of thousands of dollars for the benefit you didn't get. If you're
Well,
going to invest $50,000, $75,000, in a degree, you don't get the payoff until you get the degree.
Well, our perceptions as a society are formed by marketers and lobbyists. That's
Mm-hmm.
just the way it is. That's how our reality is essentially perceived. So, you know, who's the lobby? Who are the benefactors of school is great, you should go to school, you're going to make more money. That stuff is pumped out there all the time. So that's what we believe because it's a big money industry. It's
Right.
like big tobacco. I'm surprised I haven't heard, maybe I'll coin it here for the first time. Big college.
Yeah.
We got big college, right? We got big pharma, we got big tobacco, we got big college,
We got
right?
beyond.
Well, who is funding the effort to get the word out for people that school is not a good option for? Where's
Right.
the money?
Right.
Where's the backing for that?
Yeah.
Where's the
Nobody's talking about
profit?
that.
Where's the profit motive to tell somebody to start a business as an advisor, let's say, advising people not to go to college? Where's the incentive? You can't make money doing that. Nobody's doing that.
Well,
There's no backing for it.
if there was a high school financial literacy class and we gave them this important information, which is the majority of people who start college drop out, they don't finish. And 59% of people who borrowed and didn't complete default on their loans. So how is that going to be a smart move?
If you're in education, if you're an educator, you tend to think education is the answer. If you're in government, if you're a bureaucrat, you think government intervention is the answer. If you're a bankruptcy attorney, you think bankruptcy is the answer.
Right.
Everybody has a professional bias, right? But nobody is going to tell you and nobody's going to tell your kid that little Johnny is probably not a good fit for college.
Yeah, we should think about it.
Yeah.
I love community college, junior college. I think everybody should start there.
Well, it lets you dip your toe in the water and see if it's really what you want to do before you go sign up for some big. Your goal should be, if we're going to go to college, how do we do it without loans? How do we do it without loans? I know it's that because the loans are the easy button, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
easy to sign up for. It's easy to get right now. But if it doesn't work out exactly how you want it to work out, both little Johnny and probably the parents are going to be regretting that decision for the next 20 years, maybe longer.
Well, here's an interesting statistic. It's in this article. So if you go to getoutofdebt.org and you look for the article, college is worth it for many, but there's more you need to know first. So I thought this number was very interesting. So this is for people that actually completed school. For those that completed school 4-year degrees, their annual earnings are $55,000. For people that completed associate degrees, only 2 years of school, their annual income is $47,000. It's less, but it takes less time and you're less on the hook. So why not go for the 2-year degree, get that benefit? You're only talking about a difference of, $8,000 and then go for the bachelor's.
I can show an 18-year-old how to make $55,000 a year doing gig work for, if
Yeah.
that's the average income, if that's the bar we're setting for,
Yeah.
college graduates for making on average 55,000.
Yeah.
You could deliver burritos and make 55,000.
Yeah.
If that's the argument for college. It's not winning my heart and mind. Let me just tell you that.
Well, let's break down the different programs. Okay, so you've got bachelor's degrees. I think the average time to complete a bachelor's degree right now is 6 years. And I don't want to be cynical, but what I've observed is that people that are getting up there to almost completing, the schools seem to make those final classes not available.
Dude, it happened to me.
Yeah.
It totally happened to me. I was supposed to graduate in 2001 with my business finance degree.
Yeah.
I met with the counselor like you're supposed to do the year before. Everything's in order, blah, blah, blah. Everything's good to go. I go to graduate. I was 4 years, right? And go to graduate on time and do the walk with all that. And then I go to get everything checked off. And I don't even remember the damn class, but I remember sitting there and they're go, oh no, you have to do this one other class. And I was like, excuse me, what? And this was like a month before it was done, right?
Yeah.
And they added it from the time that I'd met with that wasn't in the original requirement, but they added it to get the dang degree. So the end result was I didn't get to like officially graduate with my buddies and my friends that were doing the official graduate. I had to, it was like winter semester or summer, I don't remember what it was, but I had to stay like another 3 months for this one stupid class. And then, okay, now I graduated. My mom took me down to, J.C. Penney or whatever it was, got the we got to get your graduation photos, back then when you
Yeah.
actually had to go to a place to get your photo. So we got the photo. So yeah, I got a photo of me with the button-down shirt and a leather jacket thrown over my shoulder and the big hair and a 2002 like plaque thing in front of me, even though I should have graduated in 2001, all because they snuck it in. And of course you had to pay for another semester at Cal State Fullerton. And it was like another like $2,000. And luckily my parents were paying my way. I didn't have to get loans because they were able to, of course, that was 25 years ago when college was still relatively affordable. Now Cal State Fullerton's like probably $25,000 a year, but back then it was like 8. But yeah, they did that to me, and I had to go one more semester. Let's milk them for one more.
It drives me crazy. I see it. So we talked about bachelors and we talked about associates, but let's talk about trade or vocational certificates. These are less than 2-year programs. And the total cost of these programs, the national average today, well, in 2023, was about $15,000 per year. And people who graduate from a trade or vocational program in like health or industrial certificates can out-earn bachelor's degrees in their early career. So you can get started in your career. You can build valuable skills that you need to land better jobs in the future with a shorter program.
Well, you and I, we're always talking about, one thing you can't get more of is time, right? And talk about the compounding and why you want to start putting money away for retirement early because every extra year matters. Well, imagine a kid going right out of high school and getting a job, making money and putting that money away starting right away versus somebody that spends 4 to 6 years in college, not really working because they're focusing on college, right? And then they graduate and then they finally get a job. By the time they get a job, they're probably making less than the guy that's now got 4 years work experience. But more importantly, that guy's got a 4 to 6 year head start on his retirement savings if he's doing it right. And then the question becomes, can the guy that went to college ever even catch up? Because this other guy's got 4 years. He could have $50,000, $75,000 in a retirement account by the time the guy that went to school just graduated, has zero money in the bank, but he's got $100,000 in debt. So now not only does he have starting out with zero in the bank 4 years later, but now can't even start investing because he's paying $1,400 a month to try to pay off his damn student loan for the next 20 years. That's $1,400 a month that should be going into his retirement account.
There are also, there's no reason why you can't even go to an apprenticeship program.
Mm-hmm.
So they vary by the type of thing that you're going for. But like you want to go and become an apprentice and become a licensed electrician or a plumber or HVAC tech. Now, here's the interesting thing. I said earlier that the average college graduate now with a BA, 4-year degree that takes 6 years, the average income is about $55,000. Okay, so if you become a registered apprentice, you stick with it and you earn that ring at the end. The median income of electricians is $62,300, plumbers $63,000, HVAC techs $60,000. So you don't have to go to, what's your thing? Oh, underwater basket weaving. That's the thing you always talk about. But you don't
underwater basket weaving degree.
Yeah, how much is that going to pay you? And now an electrician, a plumber, or HVAC tech, you can do something that you and I have done in our lives: go out and start your own business and make more than your friends.
Well, let me do a little scared straight section here. So I've got clients right now that are on the hook for student loans, both for themselves even and their kids, and they're in their 50s and 60s, and we're looking at this mountain of debt. and I've got clients we've been dealing with this for, over a decade now.
Yeah.
Actual strategy, the strategy that makes the most sense is try to put off payment as long as possible until you retire. Just carry this big balloon of debt with you because they weren't making enough to realistically pay it. They're not going to Dave Ramsey their way out of the 400K.
Right.
Right. And try to get as close to retirement as we can before we have no other options to get fancy and then get on whatever government assisted program is available for the payment. And then this is the fun part. Then the strategy is kind of like, well, if you die before the
Yeah.
student loans are forgiven, the loan dies with you. So
Right.
then you push it off as long as you can, and then you hope to get as low of a payment as possible based on whatever program is going to be available at the time. And then those programs have a 25 to 30 year forgiveness. But you don't want the forgiveness because as it is right now, if you get that forgiveness is taxable.
I know.
So it's like, great, I went 30 years, made my payments, and now I had $400,000 forgiven. Congratulations, you got a $150,000 tax bill. Now you owe the IRS and there is no great payment plan. So the actual strategy is looking at essentially actuary tables and going, well, if you live past 85, we might have a problem. But if, something happens and you pass away before 85, then you won't be on the loan for your child's student loan.
Right.
Like this could be a decision that follows you to the grave. That's not hyperbole. That's legit going on right now. People have this mountain of debt and their kid who's now 30 years old has got just a regular job making 50 grand a year doing something that didn't even need a degree in the first place. But the family has got multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt because they were told by everybody, your kid has to go to college because if he doesn't, he's not going to be anything in this world. Well, he went to college and now what he is a debtor for the rest of his parents' natural life.
Yeah. The worst scenario I see is, that's terrible when the parents are on the hook like that. But when the grandparents thought they were doing something nice and then the kid can't afford to pay it back, now they're getting their Social Security garnished and living on even less.
Well, that's a little different because the grandparents are usually on the private loans because, they're not getting the parent plus loans typically, the parents are. But there's, at least with the private loans, the rates are higher, but there are options to get rid of those sooner. But yeah, you're right. They're in their 70s and they're stressed out about little Johnny's not able to make the payment on the private loan that they co-signed on. And you know how people in their 80s feel about their credit score.
Yeah, I don't care.
Right? You're going to give, no, most people do care.
Oh, they do?
Most people aren't like you and I. They're 80 years old and they grew up in that, like, my credit score, I got to, put that on a t-shirt and tell everybody I got an 850 or whatever.
Yeah.
A lot of them shouldn't care because they're at a stage in life where they're not going to ever need it again. But still, when, I'm firmly convinced you reach a certain age and then you're kind of set in your ways, whatever your thoughts were at that specific age you reach, and then you don't change your mind on anything. But now you're going to give your grandfather a heart attack because he's 80 years old and little Johnny missed a payment on his $1,500 student loan that the grandpa co-signed on. And now the grandfather is getting a collection call. Poor guy's probably never got a collection call in his life. And I actually had a client.
Yeah.
You remember this story, Steve? This was 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
The grandfather was co-signed and he had a heart attack on the phone with the debt collector because they were harassing him. They wouldn't stop calling. Legit had to have the ambulance come and take him to the hospital because he got so worked up about what the collector was saying to him on the phone. He ended up having a heart attack for a damn student effing loan. They're bad. They are bad.
All right. Well, here are the 10 top degrees that earn the most money now. Right. So if you're going to go to college, you'll notice that there are things in here not like philosophy or English or dance. I did have what?
Underwater basket weaving?
Not on the list. No.
Is it at the bottom?
It's underwater.
So deep down, the sun don't shine.
I did have a client once that got a dual major, dance, and English. And I was thinking, I'm sorry.
Dancing
Okay.
all the way to the bank with that one.
Yeah. All right. The top 10 are aerospace engineering, chemical engineering, computer engineering, electrical engineering, computer science, mechanical engineering, economics, finance, physics, and actuarial science. That's math and
Okay,
computer science.
so
Hmm.
stop right there. So here's one thing I picked up on when you said that. So there are things that if you want to do, you are going to need to go to college to get that education and be able to do that. But what you did not hear on that list was underwater basket weaving, political science,
Hmm.
English, journalism, all these degrees that cost just as much for the most part, but don't pay.
Right.
Right? So you want to go to college, look at that list that Steve just went down, those kind of things where you can't just get your GED and go apply for a job as an aerospace engineer. That's not going to happen. But if you want to be an aerospace engineer, you can look at what it's going to take to get there. If you have the aptitude to do that, then yeah, going to college probably makes sense and you probably will be able to graduate, hopefully get a job that pays really well, pay that college back, and not put your grandfather in an early damn grave because you wanted to be an English major and find yourself.
Now, of this list, the one thing that this does not include that we need to think about moving forward is every one of these professions on this list is going to be impacted by artificial intelligence.
I think everybody's gonna. I mean, that's the one thing that it's like we had this discussion with my son. We know, Steve. I've been talking
Yeah.
to you about it. Like, as a parent, I'm kind of going like, I don't know that much about AI. Steve's more, as old as Steve is, he's more AI than I am. He's teaching me Chat GPT and all this stuff, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, more crap I got to learn. But my son originally wanted to go to school to get an animation degree. He likes to draw. He likes to do animation on the computers. And he was kind of thinking maybe I could get a job like working for Disney or something like that,
Hmm.
right? And I had to sit him down and be like, dude, that's really awesome, but I don't think there's gonna be much demand for that skill. AI can do what it would take you a week. AI can
Yeah.
do it in 5 minutes. And
Didn't I
imagine what
send
it's
you an
gonna be like.
article?
You did, because we
Yeah.
were talking about it. And so as a dad, I'm trying to give my son the best advice I can, but I don't know the future, but I know that's pretty scary for somebody think about, well, yeah, I'm going to get a job and I'm going to be an animator. And it's like, there's already animators that are complaining about not being able to get hired.
I think
I don't,
that article I sent you quoted like a Disney person
it did.
that
And I
said,
showed Evan.
yeah, that said, we're going to rely on AI or something like that.
Yeah. Well, you know what Evan's major is now, right? It's business.
Yeah. Okay.
Because the way we 86 the animation. Like I showed him that article. He did a little bit of, like I said, he's a really smart kid.
Yeah.
So he did some research. He goes, Dad, I think you're right. I think that's probably not good. And I said, look, you can take some animation classes because you're way into it, and you could get that skill. I just wouldn't make that your major.
Right.
Like you want to, I feel like I was like, you want to kind of go broad until you really figure it out, because business is just, you can almost kind of do anything. You get a business degree and you're going to learn some information when you're there. But I was like, start off pretty broad, just get business. You can start your own business one day if you want to. So you're going to learn some valuable skills. But then while you're there over the next 2 years from 19 to 21, you may really be able to hone in on what you really want to do. I said, you're living at home. Now's the time. Figure out what you really enjoy. And we'll work it backwards. You want to find something that you really enjoy, and then we can figure out, can you make a living
Right.
doing that? Now's the time to do that, rather than just wait till you get thrown into the world and then, well, I got rent, I got this, I got to go get a job. That's how you end up stuck in something you hate doing for the rest of your life. Life's too short, man. Figure out what you like to do and start from there.
It's a one-way trip. Now, I have this year, with the assistance of AI, whether it's Perplexity or Claude or ChatGPT, I have written more computer code that has performed flawlessly. In the past, I used to have to outsource and contract with programmers to accomplish
Yeah, you used to
things.
go to like Fiverr and stuff, and you're like, oh, I got some guy in Vietnam that I found on this Upwork or whatever, and I
Upwork,
got him
yeah.
working on this problem. But now you're going to ChatGPT, so these guys on Upwork and stuff, these freelancers, that's less work. And if you're doing that,
Yeah.
a lot of other people are doing that. So there's less jobs for these people that used to have, all this ability. Like, hey, I've got this skill. Now you've got AI doing their job. Like these guys that went to college, got the degrees. Well, maybe not the guy in Vietnam, but the guys here in the U.S. thinking, "Oh, I'm going to be a computer programmer." When I was a kid, that was the big up and coming thing, right? In fact, when I started college, I didn't know what I wanted to do, and my mom said, "Well, you like computers? We should do. You should do something with computers." So it's basically computer engineering
Yeah.
is what my declared major was. I almost flunked out of college my first year because I hated it. It was boring as C++ coding. I was like, yawn. And so I was a salutatorian of my high school. I was not a dumb guy. I went from like a 4.6 GPA salutatorian of my class, barely. I was barely almost valedictorian, but he beat me out a little bit, to literally in my second semester in college in the dean's office going, "You're about to flunk out of school, bro." I mean, he didn't say it like that. I'm
Well, you didn't care
paraphrasing.
about it.
Yeah, exactly. I was sleeping through the classes like, I don't want to learn coding again. But
Right.
I figured out, luckily, pretty damn quick. And I switched my major to finance. I was like, I'm into money. I'm into making money. I'm into business. That's what I'm into. I'm not into C++. That sucks.
Yep.
But
Well,
that was the thing. That was the big thing people were going to school for back in the late 90s was computer programming.
well,
Now it's AI.
yeah. If somebody was getting ready to go to school right now, I wouldn't tell them to abandon aerospace engineering, computer engineering, all this computer science, all this stuff. But what I would say is go to your community college and focus on learning how to implement AI in each of
Yeah.
these fields. That's the key. Businesses have learned right now that the key to succeeding with AI is not just to implement it, it's to find the people who know how to implement it well and get the best results.
It's like, look, you see AI coming. That's not going to change. It's coming.
Right.
So it's the old, if you can't beat it, join it.
Mhm.
That's it. It's like, okay, so this is going to be the future. So how can I position myself to be part of that future, not the guy that's on the Reddit forum bitching about AI's doing my DoorDash delivery, or they got a robot and now I don't know what to do. Like, don't be that guy. Be the guy programming the robot.
Yeah, I just did a story the other day on Google, which offers online certificate programs. They're offering their AI certificate courses for free to all students in Africa. So
So
they're
it's
going to
cheaper to
have,
move to Africa and get that degree than it is to go to most of the colleges here.
well, yeah, I mean, they're going to have the advantage of, and these are online classes, that they're going to be able to complete.
So you're
And
saying just get a VPN and plug it for Africa and then be like, apply for
no,
free
but
certificate?
those same classes exist here in the United States. There are online university classes, not the for-profits, but gosh, I wish I could remember the names of the platforms, but offer, major school programs. Because my daughter just completed a bunch of certification programs like from Rutgers and Dartmouth, and these were extremely affordable that ended up with degrees, with certificates. Because the key here is how fast can you get into the field? Not graduate with a master's or anything else. How fast can you get your foot in the door, start making contacts, and getting experience? Over the past few years, Damon, we have talked about how many of the larger companies now are not saying you need to have a college degree to be hired. They're saying you need to have appropriate experience to be hired.
Are you thinking like Khan Academy? Is that the kind of stuff you're thinking about?
No.
Because Khan's got free courses and things like that.
Yeah.
I think where it really started getting people thinking a few years ago. I heard an interview with Elon, and he kind of brought that up, that whole issue of you don't need a degree for most of these jobs anymore.
Yeah.
And he was kind of like, not the first. I mean, Mike Rowe's been out there forever talking about wake up society. But Elon came out, as like, I don't know, one of the richest guys in the world who employs quite a few people, saying, a college degree is really not a requirement for every single job that's out there. Because I think for a long time, that's what kept people stuck in that college, was that, well, an employer won't even consider me if I don't have that degree. And so it got to a point where we're spending $100,000 just so you can put on a piece of paper that you've got this other piece of paper so you can get an interview.
Yeah.
That's where it jumped the shark for me. It's like, so it's not about the knowledge that you're getting for this $100,000. It's about the ticket to get in the door is now $100,000. Like that's an issue as a society.
So I thank you for saying all that. I appreciate that diatribe because it gave me a chance to look up the answer I couldn't remember.
Well,
The
that's what I'm here for, Sam. The
Yeah.
yin to your yang, man.
Well, thanks for yinging me. So
Different
Coursera,
show, different show.
big spoon. So
Where's your
Coursera,
other hand?
I'm happy to see you. Coursera is the platform I was thinking about. And it's a US based online learning platform built by Stanford professors. They have over 7,000 courses that you can take, like in science and language and computer science and IT and AI and business management. And these certificates are not expensive.
Yeah.
And then there are a whole bunch of other platforms like edX. You mentioned Khan Academy. That's another one. MIT OpenCourseWare. Actually, I've done some of those classes online.
Well, think of it like this. If we, as a society, we didn't ask for what your degree is or where you know, on your resume, like imagine a society, just think for a second, where it wasn't even on the resume. That is, if the employer knew you had the knowledge to do the job, it didn't matter if you had a degree or not. How many people you think would even worry about college or
Right.
try to go? Think about that. If it was not a prerequisite on a resume, how many people would be like, why in the hell would I pay that kind of money to go get something I can get for free on the internet?
Yeah, and there are lots of these programs.
That's how crazy it is. So, but I think society's finally shifting to where it's not going to be like a mandatory thing. Not there's some jobs it's definitely going to be mandatory, but I think that's the biggest thing that has people scared, is that if I don't have that degree, I'm not going to be able to get a job. And so that's what's causing these parents to sign up for these horrible loans that they're going to pay for the rest of their life, because they feel like that's the only way to go for the Willy Wonka golden ticket, is to get that degree. And we as a society need to address that. And employers need to start stepping up to the plate and give the damn job to the person that's most qualified for the job, whether they have a degree or not.
Well, I think in my days as an employer, so I had 70 employees at one time. I never cared about the degree.
I know. But as I said, that's why I think it was important when Elon is pretty vocal about it. And I think it's finally starting to at least open up the conversation to maybe we are giving too much credence to college degrees when we're looking at applicants. You know, that's the kind of the easy button for employers. Like, I'll just weed out everybody that doesn't have a degree. And that's
Right.
where I went back to, we talked about this before. If you put it on your resume for most jobs, are they actually going to check it, whether you got the degree or not? And if that's all it is, and you got the qualifications and you got the smarts to do it, it's a forgiveness rather than permission kind of thing.
Right.
I'm not saying to do it. I'm just bringing up the issue.
Yeah. It's cheaper to lie about the degree than get the degree.
Well, I mean, if you can do it, doesn't that show how worthless the actual going to college is?
Yeah, if you've got the job skills to deliver, you're a project management expert. Well, like, for example, I just had a really good friend that landed a project management job at a major college and earning well, working with the CEO of the university. And he never went to school for college management, but he had life experience that applied.
Yeah. It's like that show Suits, right? With the lawyers.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if it was Harvard. They only I can't remember exactly. It's been years since I've seen it, but it was that really smart guy went in, happened to stumble into that job interview by accident, but he was like book smart and photographic mind and knew everything. And he got into the interview and he talked his way into the job, but the guy's like, I'd hire you right now, but we only hire from Harvard or wherever it was.
Yeah.
And it was basically like, you have to go to Harvard. You're super smart and I'd love to have you, but you don't have this piece of paper from Harvard. So they lied about it. They lied about him. They catch this plan where, dude, I really need this guy working for me. So we're just going to pretend he went to Harvard. And that's the whole basis of that show, is the guy like kicking ass and taking names as a lawyer, but never actually went to Harvard, but had to tell everybody he did because that's the only thing that was acceptable.
So
It's
going
crazy.
back to Coursera, this gets even more ridiculous because using the example you just gave, Coursera offers their courses. They have over 7,000 courses. You can access the course materials for free, but you just won't receive the certificate. If you want to earn the certificate and be able to
You
put
got to
that
pay
on
the
a
money.
yeah, yeah, it's $49 to $100 a class. That's it.
Well, at least it's affordable extortion.
Well, you can also pay $59 a month or $3.99 a year and get unlimited access to all of their classes.
Our business model is we're going to give you everything the big guys are going to give you. We're just going to charge you a lot less. That's fine. I can get behind that.
Yeah.
But it does show you how worthless it is. But again, if you've got the personality, you can go to a big school, your family's got money and they can pay for it. You can do a lot of networking in college that could set you up for life. But I would argue it's the people that you meet and the connections that you make that in many cases are more valuable and worth more than what you actually learn in any of those damn classes.
I would agree with that.
So there is some value to college, but you got to sit down and figure out if there's value for you before you go.
You know, it's almost worth taking one of these online Coursera. So Coursera is COURSERA.org. It's almost worth taking one of these online, because if you're going to go to an online college, that's your default. I'm going to go to an online college. Why don't you do an online class? See if
Yeah.
that's even something that you like doing. I mean, here's a class that would be very helpful for somebody who's going into AI. Master Python using price prediction and linear regression. Not something I would want to do, but you can do that class for free.
Yeah. Young people that listen to this podcast, which is probably very few.
Yeah.
Your full-time job is figuring out what you want to do for the rest of your life while you're living at home and you have no bills. That's the time to figure that out. That's the time you can go explore. You can try different things. You can maybe start a little side hustle as a business or whatever if you think you want to do it. You can fail. Hey, whatever. I'm not falling behind on my mortgage because that's right. Mom and dad pay because I don't have one yet. That time between 18 to 24, 25, that's the time where you should be figuring out what you want to do. Don't just go to school and then hope you know what you want to do by the time you graduate. That's not a good path, and it's going to make your parents indentured servants, very likely. And if not them, then you or both of you guys will be indentured
Right.
servants because you wanted to spend 4 years figuring it out instead of figuring it out first or figuring out why you're taking online courses on the cheap or a community college on the cheap. Don't go to a 4-year school if you don't know what you want to do.
On that note, Damon, I think we should wrap it up. If you want, if you're in a financial jam, student loans, life got you, credit cards, whatever, be sure to reach out to Damon at damonday, DAMONDAY.com, and he can help you. And if you want, go to Coursera. This just popped up. Google has a free AI prompting class that you can take. That sounds pretty good,
And
actually.
and I'm sure everybody listening to this podcast already knows, but the main site, getoutofdebt.org.
See ya.
Peace.